Hi, I'm Maren and welcome back to my channel, Maren Makes It. For the past few months, I've been house sitting in and around the Denver, Colorado area as a way to avoid paying rent. This time around, I'm really lucky because I'm going right from this house sit to the next one, so that's probably one of the biggest obstacles with doing this is to line up the house sitting dates so that you don't have a huge gap in between. I would personally rather have a little bit of overlap, like one more day where I maybe have to go back to the other house and still feed the pets where I'm already at the new house. I would rather have that scenario than have a gap, because when you start to get into the gap, it just gets a little bit more confusing in terms of my packing. This is really just like throw everything in the car and then you can unload it right away at the next place, as opposed to like, oh, well, I have 2 days here and now I have to pack like a little day bag that I can take in between to my friend's house where I'll crash on the couch, or to an Airbnb or something like that. I have had this a few times and it has made things definitely more stressful because you just don't really have a permanent place and you can't really unpack everything for a few days. So you have to be a little bit more deliberate in your packing and planning out. So for the past 2.5 weeks, my roommate and responsibility has been Rue, the little rabbit. She eats a mix of fresh foods, which include like the lettuce here that I'm feeding her and the parsley, and also hay, which is a dried food. This was my first time ever taking care of a rabbit for a prolonged period of time, and it was pretty interesting. I definitely learned a lot. I didn't realize how interactive rabbits could be. I always thought that they were more skittish because they are in nature prey animals compared to cats and dogs, which are in nature predatory animals. So they interact differently with humans. But once little Rue warmed up to me, she was all about hanging out with me. She wanted to help me do my ab workouts in the morning, and anytime I'd sit on the floor, she'd come right over and hang out with me. In my head, pictured rabbits as pets more as the kind that sit in a cage and you don't do much and you don't interact with them much, but Rue definitely proved me wrong, and it just is a good reminder of when you're open to new experiences, what new things you can learn. This was in particular a favorite game of hers where I would hide a little treat like a carrot in one of these little compartments and then she would have to figure out how to get it out. So in this first shot, it's a little flap that she has to open, and then in the second shot, it's these 2 plastic pieces that you can slide back and forth to open a little compartment where you can hide a little treat. So let me orient you a little bit as to where this house sit actually was. This house sit really was in the heart of Denver, located near Cheeseman Park in the Capitol Hill neighborhood. Cheeseman Park sits between Capitol Hill and Congress Park. Those are the names that people will use when they say what they live in. When you say, where do you live? They'll say Cap Hill or they'll say Congress Park. Personally, though, I like to call Cheeseman Park Peanut Park in my head because when you look at it in a map, you can see that it kind of looks like a peanut shape, and it was one of the first landmarks in Denver that I could identify on a map consistently, so I would reference things in my head as, oh, this is south of Peanut Park, or this is north of Peanut Park, because I couldn't remember the actual name. So this is what the actual neighborhood looked like that I was living in. It kind of gave me Boston vibes mixed with Lincoln Park, Chicago. And the way many neighborhoods in Denver are set up is that there's some streets of just purely residential things, and then they're sort of clustered around a street where you have more businesses and restaurants and shops, but it kind of makes it so that you never really feel like you're in a big city. Like it kind of keeps a small city vibe while being a bigger city. And then this is beautiful Cheeseman Park. I loved being a couple blocks away from it, just being able to walk there every morning if I wanted to, and on a clear weather day, you can actually see the Rocky Mountains off in the distance too, which is just absolutely a stunning view, especially when they're nicely, freshly snow-capped. If you're watching this and you're from Colorado, definitely let me know what you think of Cheeseman Park if you've ever been there. So generally I try to prepare one area as a sort of staging area for my own stuff where I can get that stuff organized. So right now I'm kind of doing this on the bed. If I have a bigger house sit, like a whole house to myself, I'll usually use one room for this as opposed to just doing it on top of something. And generally I'll either clean that room first or I'll leave it basically as the last room that I clean then, because obviously my stuff will be taking up space there. In this case, I just got everything up off the floor so that I can do some vacuuming and sweeping and mopping and stuff that I need to do anyways on the floor, and also this way I don't have to bend down as I'm packing these bags. I usually load things like the trunk of the car and things like clothes in the night before if possible, just to have less work in the morning. But certain things, especially when it's really hot or really cold out, I don't want to leave in the car overnight just because they tend to cook. Like, for example, I don't like to put my cosmetics in the car when I know that they're going to boil and it's almost 100 degrees outside. I also obviously wouldn't put any food or anything perishable in the car overnight. So it's my last night at this house sit, and I'm definitely going to be really sad to be leaving the Peanut Park area. For my last night here, I thought it would be really nice to go back to the park and watch the sunset because the sunsets are quite beautiful there. And here is some footage that I took of that sunset. And Peanut Park is a really cool place because people are always out doing things. There's people throwing frisbees, there's people sitting in the grass reading, walking their dogs. It's definitely a place that feels very much alive, and you really can see residents of Denver, not just tourists, enjoying the city. This marble building is called the Cheeseman Memorial Pavilion. It's a popular spot for prom photos, which I saw people taking here, and wedding photos as well. I even caught some birds flying artistically through the screen here, which was just a lucky coincidence. And here's the pavilion again at night, all lit up, but it's getting dark, so I gotta walk home now. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed seeing a little bit about my house sit this time and getting ready with me for moving day, which is tomorrow. I did also vlog that day, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel and turn on the bell for notifications so that you're notified when I post that video coming soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye, YouTube!